This is AgGrad Live.
We have all of the different segments within the cotton.
The show that explores what it's really like to work in the ag industry.
So making sure that we get policy and regulatory issues
straight from the people who live it every day. Hello, everybody in Facebook land. We are back with another episode of AgGrad Live, continuing to feature our AgGrad 30 under 30. If you haven't heard about this program, this is something we just launched. This is the very first class of the 30 under 30, where we are recognizing those who are doing interesting work in the world of agriculture, running the gamut from entrepreneurship to production agriculture to agribusiness to education, advocacy, and beyond. So really, really excited to continue to introduce you to these dynamic individuals and certainly have one here with us today. So I'm going to bring him on. Let me see if I can do this. All right, we have Bharath Sudarsan. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, as I told you before we started recording, you might be the only one of the 30 who is a director of artificial intelligence, and you're director of artificial intelligence for a company you helped co-found, SomaDetect. So maybe before we get too much into artificial intelligence or entrepreneurship, just give us at a high level, what is SomaDetect?
SomaDetect, well, it's a company that me and my two co-founders, Bethany and Nicholas, founded with the intention of making the best milk possible, making sure cows have a better life and farmers are able to manage their herds easier. That is the soul behind SomaDetect, making dairy farming easy and taking care of our animals.
And how does artificial intelligence enter into that equation?
So, well, before I get too deep into that, I need to say farming is not easy. I know we all know how difficult and how intricate so many variables play a role, especially when it comes to dairy farming. And the amount of things that a dairy farmer needs to keep his mind on, the attention to detail that he needs to have is staggering. So this is where we found that if we could come up with some sort of a product that could monitor the cows 24 hours a day, kind of watch them, see how they drink, they eat, how the milk comes out, how it physiologically affects their body, looking at the milk quality, we could maybe help the farmers diagnose and find patterns in their cows, making herd management a little bit more easier. So this is where we bring in AI, because milk is a complicated fluid. It is an emulsion which is non-homogeneous. There's like a lot of fat, there's some hormones in it, there's chemicals in it. Everything is moving around at like gushing speed under vacuum pressure when the cow is being milked. So looking at this milk using some optical physics and then capturing some images of it and analyzing that images with AI is kind of where AI fits in with milk quality analysis in a quick 2-minute high-level pitch. But,
that's awesome. And so does SomaDetect offer the data collection mechanism for that then? Like how are you collecting all that information?
So what SomaDetect offers is two things. One is an IoT device. It's a piece of hardware that is a simple plug-and-play mechanism. You just put it in your milking line, connect two ends of it, and then the data goes to the cloud where we are analyzing the data that we are collecting and giving results back to the farmer for every cow at every milking, so he can keep tabs on all of his assets. But at the risk of this sounding more like a sales pitch, I'm going to kind of stop there.
Oh, no, I think it's interesting, and I think it's exciting technology. And for those of us who may be listening, be like, okay, I could see where farmers would have this issue where, there's so much data to be collected that it can't possibly be done just by walking out there and looking at a few cows and leaving, where you collect it kind of 24/7. Can you help us, those of us who don't maybe understand AI? Sorry, I got a call. Those of us who maybe don't understand AI, just at a really, really basic level, kind of artificial intelligence 101.
AI is a jargony term. I'm sure all of us hear the phrase AI everywhere. Artificial intelligence, in my opinion, and these definitions are variable wherever you find it online, but in my opinion, Artificial intelligence is a simple program that you write that even has like a decision that it makes by itself. It's artificially inspired. Like it kind of dwells down to what is intelligence itself, if you look at it, in terms of the essence of the matter. A reaction to a stimulus is intelligence, right? If there is sunlight and a plant decides to face the sunlight, that is it intelligently acting. Simple programs by themselves could be termed as artificial intelligence. Your chess game that you have on, which is just hand coded, is also artificial intelligence. But when this intelligence gets a little fuzzier, where you need to make spontaneous reactions and learn from your mistakes, there's a new phrase that comes in, which is machine learning, which is like, this is what we as toddlers do, right? When we walk, we trip and fall, we learn that, okay, I should step over that step and not run right through it because I'm going to go smack on my face. So that is machine learning. Deep learning is something that goes a little further into the details, where what you end up doing is you take several parameters and you start making complicated analysis. So what makes a dog a dog? If you look at a picture of the dog, it has a nose, it has a snot, a mouth, and 2 ears. Okay, that's a dog. But how is a dog different from a wolf? Well, so a dog is smaller, fluffier, wolf is bigger, maybe meaner. Maybe you see canines, I don't know. So when you make complex interaction decisions based on stimulus and also based on background, certain other interactions, you kind of start going into deep learning, which kind of propels self-driving cars. So AI kind of goes one layer into another and goes in a deep, but this is like a super surface definition.
Right. No, I think that's interesting. And actually, the wolf versus dog example is a really, really good one. So essentially, then, is your technology to understand AI a little bit better? Does it improve over time? The more data it collects and analyzes and kind of reevaluates itself, the better that it does for future customers of SomaDetect. Is that right?
Absolutely. And this is one of the biggest advantages that we have over other technologies. Because usually what happens when it comes to a technology is someone somewhere comes up with a patent, and in that patent, they come up with an equation or a formula to detect, let's just say, somatic cells in milk, right? Oh, if light is like this, if you plug this into this equation, multilinear regression, whatever it is, a formula, plug in these variables, you get this answer. Problem is, you build this equation for, let's just say, Holstein cows. What happens when it comes to jerseys? Does it still work? What happens if you take the model that was built on Holstein cows in Canada and then deploy it in Iran or Dubai, where they feed the cows different? The temperature is different. What the cow, how they feel, the days in milk, how young these cows are, it's all different. So if your algorithm has an ability to adapt itself and custom fit itself to the new problem set, now you have an edge over any other sensor that is there in the market, because your algorithms constantly evolve. That is the advantage machine learning and deep learning gives you over simple statistics.
I think it's fascinating stuff. How did you get into this?
So my basic training has been in electronics. So I was an electronics telecommunications engineer. And towards the end of my undergrad, from signal processing, I went into image processing. Signal as in one-dimensional, image as in a matrix, right? So when I started playing with images, it's fascinating. It's more interesting than just looking at numbers and code. You know what I mean? At least there are pictures. It's a little bit more exciting. And from those pictures, I started moving into video analysis. So when that happened, I noticed the market and I saw that most image analysis and AI goes into defense, or it goes into industry where there's a lot of money, right? Like self-driving cars propelled by Google, like whatever has more of the cool tech tag associated with it. And my professor usually said that agriculture is the industry that new technology comes to die. And I kind of hated that. I was like, why? Because it's like, I come from India. It's an agrarian economy. It's like we need to feed the world with the population increasing. So when I started looking into agricultural universities that needed robotics engineers, I was able to get a program with full scholarship. So I jumped on the opportunity. I worked on self-driving tractors, worked on drone technology for precision spraying weed, all of that. Built a copy of the Mars rover sensor. That was my master's thesis for soil texture detection. Again, image analysis, computer vision, artificial intelligence. And then I started working in the food industry. So we built like huge, large robots for lobster processing, donuts processing, pizza dough for Domino's, Campbell's soup cans, all sorts of food defect detection, which naturally kind of progressed into SomaDetect, which was like agriculture and food safety with artificial intelligence. And that's how I got here.
Yeah, so obviously, all of agriculture does kind of cross over with food, and the entire industry sort of experiencing this. How can we collect and analyze more data for actionable insights? What made you hone in specifically on dairy?
So market research. So me and my co-founders, so Bethany, right? Her father, Dr. Satish Deshpande, is an amazing gentleman. He's a basement inventor. He has been working on technology, cheap technology for third world countries for human health, like malaria, HIV, rapid diagnosis. So fun fact, a little backstory to this. What happened was he works with blood, right? Like for looking at diseases. So blood is another complicated emulsion. And when he was calibrating his machine, he ran out of blood samples. So he just opened his refrigerator and there was milk. So he was like, oh, it's another complicated fluid. Let me just adjust the laser camera and calibrate the device with milk. When he was playing with that, he started seeing patterns in it. And he was like, okay, what else can I detect? And he saw patterns in fat, because store-bought milk differs only in fat, right? Because we don't know the SEC values in store-bought milk. When we went to farms and asked farmers, they told us what will be even more interesting to detect. And then slowly, we started getting into SomaDetect dairy, right? And then Bethany and I got together, Bethany, myself, and Nicholas, and they were looking for an artificial intelligence guy to co-found with them so they could take Dr. Satish's patent and take it to the next level, make sure it works for any cow in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's how AI, myself, and dairy came together. Then we started looking into the market. We were like, okay, should we quit our day jobs and do this full time or not? So when we looked at the market, we were like, the amount of innovation that comes to dairy is not so much. There are robotic machinery, but they still don't use something like artificial intelligence or the cutting edge of technology. And even if they are willing to adopt the cutting edge of technology, it comes at a huge price tag. So we were like, we could come up with a much cheaper sensor and still adapt cutting edge technology, because AI goes in spacecrafts, AI goes in drones, so it doesn't need a huge robot for you to get AI. It should be accessible to any farmer, be it him milking on a parlor, be it him milking on a rotary, be it him milking on maybe even one day Thai stall. I'm not promising anything, but maybe. So we wanted to build a machine that is milking system agnostic, that is accessible to the day-to-day farmer, that doesn't come linked with a huge price tag. And this is where we got.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let's back up a little bit. So it sounded like Bethany and Nicholas, your two co-founders, approached you. They were looking for someone who understood artificial intelligence.
Yes.
There's a couple of big risks there. Number one, the risk you mentioned, which is quitting your day job and going full time. But number two, the commitment to each other, where it's like, okay, we're going to be in this together. How well did you know them beforehand, and how did that thought process go? Because I've heard people compare, a partnership to like a marriage kind of thing. So tell me more about that decision.
No, you're absolutely right. So before meeting Bethany and Nick, I did not know anything about them, but we had a mutual friend. So my friend Brian Wadi, another amazing gentleman, by the way, but my friend Brian Wadi was a mutual contact. I was living in New Brunswick. He was also in New Brunswick. Both of us were roommates from McGill. So he tells me, hey man, I know you're looking for exciting opportunities. I have these close friends that you should try and have breakfast with and maybe consult with them. So I drive 2 hours, I go meet up with them, introduce myself, we get talking, we like each other's personality, but again, it's more of a like let's get to know each other kind of a thing because of exactly what you said. The commitment is like a marriage. You can't just jump headfirst into such sort of a partnership. So it involved like a good solid 6 to 8 months of me traveling back and forth, driving many phone calls with Dr. Satish, like all of us analyzing the market. We did an accelerator together. We did a program. We got a good feel. We took our time. We held on, all of us held on to our day jobs, but we took our time to get to know each other, get to build that relationship, that trust. And then when we found us like confident and comfortable to make the leap, we decided to make the leap. So yeah.
And when you made that leap, how does it practically work? Are you surviving on savings? Did you get an investor before you started? On a real practical level, I think there's a lot of entrepreneurial people out there that are just like, kind of waiting for something to fall in their lap. And I'm curious how you all kind of made it happen.
To be honest with you, Tim, like nothing falls on your lap ever.
Yeah, right.
you need to fight for things with tooth and nail. And that has been my personal experience. And I wish things fell on my lap from the sky, but hasn't yet.
Right.
So when we decided to make the jump, we applied for a grant. So Canada, again, my new home, is a very generous country. They extremely support entrepreneurship, and I need to tip my hat to that. There are so many programs that help support us, especially in Atlantic Canada, the east coast of Canada. They are like helping. There's so many government grants, like federal and provincial grants that help you. So we ended up applying for a scientific grant because we were starting off. It was still a nascent technology, which had a lot of risks and a lot of R&D that needed to be done. So we applied for an entrepreneurship, science development kind of grant. This was so around December. I go home to India. I come back. Like I tell my boss that I'm going to quit. I go home to India because I tell my parents, look, I'm making this leap. I'm not sure when I will be able to come back because I'm going to put everything that I have into this business. So I just wanted to come see you guys, say hello, and then take a hiatus for 2 to 3 years. So I do that, come back, right? And then Beth and I sit together and Beth's like, so Bharath, the grant didn't go through. And we were like, whoops. So the grant was delayed. So what ended up happening was we kind of funded ourselves for 6 months. So it was right out of savings. And I was a year and a half out of university. So I still had student debt. I had a lot of loans on my back. And same with Nick and Beth. Like, it was a tough time. But it is the faith in the company, the faith in the product, and faith in the market. Like the only thing that made us make that leap, Tim, is customer validation. And I cannot reiterate it enough. And credit where credit's due. Nicholas, my co-founder, from day one kept saying, we need to make sure that the customers want to buy it. There's no point building a technology that nobody wants to buy. So we went door to door to 200 farmers without any technology, just asking them, if you had it, would you buy it? What would you pay for it? Like, we had a form. We just asked them to fill out what makes sense to them. How much would they pay? And sign underneath, saying that it's a non-binding contract, like it's just a survey. Tell me. So when I go to an investor and I show, like, I have 200 signed sheets, and on average, they're willing to pay this, and this makes business sense to us in this business plan, the case is pretty clear for any investor. This type of customer validation is what helped SomaDetect become real. And that is what inspired us to get through those tough times. Talking to farmers and learning from them that they need this badly, because it helps them hit their bonuses, like somatic cells and fat content helps them hit their bonuses. And every cow at every milking makes them do preventative diagnostics instead of reactive diagnostics. You don't want to treat a cow when she has something like pneumonia, like when the SCC has turned into mastitis. You want to catch it when it's subclinical, so you can treat it with lesser antibiotics, something that is not too severe. So the market pull inspired us to be like, okay, when the going gets tough, we need to bite through. If we make it the next 6 months, the money will come and we will last. So
that's interesting. And so you're looking at it like a period of time. And I know you mentioned 6 months. So 6 months as an example is like, hey, we need to sprint for this next 6 months and get to this mark. And then if we do, we will live to see another, 6 months or whatever the case may be.
Well, there were no guarantees.
Yeah.
We were like, well, let's try to survive this next 6 months. Something good will happen. There is a little bit of blind faith and belief in God. I don't know. It's like, it was serendipitous. There was a lot of good things happening. When we were speaking to farmers in Canada, they had family of farmers in US. And we got the opportunities to speak to government and policymakers in Vermont, in Maine. Bethany was able to travel to Boston, like New England, and speak to the policymakers over there. We got introductions to huge dairy cooperatives, and we even went and spoke to like different ice cream manufacturing companies. So we were able to map out the entire value chain from the farmer all the way to the milk processor and to cheese makers, ice cream makers. Everyone saw value because like for cheese, you need high protein, no antibiotics. So for processors, they want to make sure that SEC is really low so they don't need to pay for diluting that milk. The farmer wants to get his fat bonuses and SEC bonuses and not pay a penalty. Everyone will win at different positions in the value chain. So all these things kind of inspired us to be like, this product is needed. So let's bite through. So yeah.
Did you always know you wanted to be in an entrepreneurial venture like this, or when you were in school, did you think that you would be doing more of a traditional job?
I come from a conservative country, right? So the way that I was raised was like, study hard, get good grades, go get a job, work 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. And I never questioned that. Because why would I? That's my reality. So I was raised with that mentality until I came to North America. When I came to McGill, only then I saw that there were so many entrepreneurship activities going around. And it was like, so maybe even I can start a business. Because to me, in my mind, because mental barriers are way harder to surmount than physical ones, right? And my mental barrier was like, you need to be someone of a particular caliber, or you should come from a business family, or you should have an MBA or something like that. Like both my parents were 9 to 5 wage workers. We come from a middle class family. So I never thought I would be an entrepreneur ever. North America taught me better.
What's one thing you can point to? And actually, first, how long has SomaDetect been in existence?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. So in those 2.5 years, what's something you could point to where, something happened and you thought, okay, this is why we're doing what we do? Any kind of anecdote you can share along those lines where you're just really, you felt kind of validated in this journey that you're on?
There are so many, Tim, so many. And I will go back to thanking our farmers. The farmers are the most down-to-earth people. Let's be honest here. They're just natural. They have nothing to hide. They don't need to pretend. They are who they are. So for an AI company, we need to collect a lot of data, right? So being a startup at that phase, at the beginning stages of our company, I need to call out Ryan Cobb, Ryan Porter. These guys were with us in the farm till 1 a.m. in the morning, Brian Waddy slugging it out, right? And when we were sitting in the farm collecting data, right, because robotic farms milk 24 hours a day. So we're sitting there swatting flies, and kind of sweating it out right next to the cows. The farmers used to come in. They used to bring us tea, fresh milk, homemade ice cream. And they used to talk to us. They used to tell us how hard their job really is and how challenging it is and how they wish they could get the support that we were building. So when we got direct feedback from someone who might use our sensor, 2 years down the line, they knew the risk. they knew we weren't even close to finishing it 2 years ago, right? They knew we were just starting. They knew we were just dealing with the technology, but they welcomed us with open arms. That is when you know that you are making an impact in these people's lives. Like we got to know their kids, their entire family, and how this would impact. Like for me as an entrepreneur, it's one thing to sell a product and make money. It's an entirely different story to see that it actually touches a family. It actually touches someone's livelihood. And to get to know that and get firsthand experience in that, I don't think I could ever get it in Google or Facebook doing the same artificial intelligence there. I might get a bigger paycheck, but this is more rewarding, isn't it? But that, and the fact that food safety is something that is very important. The impact that this could have, the medical research that this could lead to, like patterns of how infections could lead to studying diseases like Crohn's, and what else can we do by looking at genetics of the cow and the quality of the milk, and how can we prevent, how can we improve the lives of the cows, how can we improve food quality, food safety. There's so many things here. Yeah.
And what stage is SomaDetect in now? Is this commercially happening in dairies?
So we are in the alpha stage of our testing. So we have certain select farm partners where we have put our sensors and we are calibrating it to their herds right now. Apart from that, we have a study going on in Cornell University where we are working with Cornell. Papers, research articles will be coming out relatively soon. So we are working with Cornell on a couple technologies, couple models, like certain things that we are trying to find in the herds. So we have around 20 partners that we are trying to run the alpha with. We are slowly rolling it out one farm at a time, because you know how it is. Different farms have different milking systems, and there's a lot to learn even when you install in these farms, because we kind of want to be the Swiss Army that will fit in any parlor, any robot, any rotary. So, but each farm equipment system is custom made for that farm, for that barn. So there's a little bit of tweaking here and there, and a lot of learning and reiteration of our design that we are doing in order to make sure that when we release it commercially, the farmer can install it very, very easily, even by himself, and we would like to work towards that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I know you all have benefited from at least one, maybe two accelerator programs. Can you tell us about how you got that opportunity? Like you said earlier, nothing falls in your lap. So how are you able to get those opportunities, and tell us kind of how that's helped the business?
100%. So myself personally am the tech geek, right? The business is run by my two wizards, Bethany and Nicholas, right? So what they end up doing is they were the ones who strategized the entire business plan. They were the ones who went to so many investors and pitched the idea. And there's always a challenge here, because an investor who understands technology extremely well doesn't really understand agriculture. If you go to an investor who invests in AI, he doesn't know how it will fit in with dairy, or how fat bonuses will help a farmer, or even if the farmer suffers. Right? They'll be like, well, why can't you make a handmade sensor or something that you can put a milk sample into and measure the fat content? It's like, no farmer who has 700 cows want to take a milk sample every day and put it into, they don't have the time to do that. But so finding the right investor was key to getting into the right accelerators. Networking is key. Finding the right partners is key, right? Beth and Nick did an excellent job, and our farmers helped us. Networking through farmers, Beth and Nick, when they went door to door selling and asking farmers what they would like, that led to contacts with policymakers and people who actually call the shots. When they got in touch with the people who actually call the shots with, like, let's just say, like, how to make feed decisions, or rationing, like antibiotics, or like medical policies, or what is mastitis, how do you diagnose that based on somatic cells, the people who make policy, they gave touch to where do the medicines come from? Where does the feed come from? And when we started reaching out to these people, we started getting ideas about what sort of softwares do farmers use to aggregate all these data together? Who makes these things, right? So it's kind of like a daisy chain of breadcrumbs that you follow slowly. And then when you get in touch with these companies, then you get to hear that there are certain feed companies like AgTech in Ireland who are running their own accelerator programs. And since you've gone through this entire chain, everybody has heard of you, right? As an entrepreneur, as the company. So people know the name SomaDetect. So when companies like AgTech try to reach back and do like a check on who is SomaDetect, there's already a lot of buzz because you went through the proper channels and you get into a strategic like accelerator that boosts your company. So that's kind of how we went. And it's not just that. We were also very lucky to work with 43 North in Buffalo. 43 North is a business competition that gives the grand prize winner $1 million. So we were the grand prize winners in 2017. So that gave us a crazy spotlight and our first office in the United States. So Bethany and Nicholas ended up moving to the United States. And right now, the mass of our engineering team, the biggest engineering team that we have is in Buffalo, New York. And currently I'm located in Niagara Falls region in the Canadian side. So I can travel to Buffalo, New York and keep in touch with my software developers. And we are opening an Ontario office so we could be closer to Buffalo, New York. So 43 North was key, instrumental in getting us in touch with huge milk co-ops in New York State. Fun fact, just 3 provinces in the United States put together has more cows than all of Canada. So it just makes business sense for us to be in the New York State and reach further down into Wisconsin and all of that. So it's a more complicated answer on how to find the right accelerator. But when you go through the proper channels and do your customer feedback and due diligence, you will find the right strategic accelerators for you.
I'm curious with you being kind of separate from the rest of the team at times. It sounds like probably for long stretches at times.
Right.
This is a question that comes up not just for anyone who starts a business. I'm in this camp too, but also anyone who maybe works remotely or works from home. How do you prioritize, what work needs to get done? Because you don't have anybody saying, no boss saying, I need this by 2:00 today. It's kind of like, hey, here's the vision, here's the mission, like let's get there. So on a day-to-day basis, how do you decide on kind of what's most important for you to tackle?
It's a good question. The answer is it's a challenge. I'm not going to say I figured everything out. We're still working on it. We're working on the kinks of having 3 remote offices.
Oh, I think we lost your Bharath. Oh, yeah. I think we lost Bharath there. Maybe we can get him back here just momentarily. Just cut out on us. The feed cut out on us. Just a second. I think it's what I was just hoping to ask him was about prioritizing work and work objectives, because I know when you don't have a set schedule on a daily basis, it can get tough. But Bharath, are you joining us back here? Just a second. Let me see. Hey, you're back.
Hello.
We just lost you for a second there. No, I'm glad you came back, because it was like getting to the point where I couldn't wait to hear this answer because it's going to help me like today. And then you cut out. And, oh man, that was a cliffhanger. But no, tell us more about kind of trying to manage on a day-to-day basis and prioritize the right things.
Right. So as I was saying, I'm not going to pretend like I've figured everything out. Like we as a company, we're still working on some kinks, but we have a strategy. And it's improving significantly. So we have 3 offices right now. So 1 in Ontario, 1 in Buffalo, New York, and 1 back in New Brunswick where the company was founded, right? So we have executives in all 3 offices. So it's a lot of meetings. A lot of time is spent on face-to-face, like Skype meetings. We have software that helps us because we are mostly a technology company. We have things like Jira that helps us. So we raise tickets, we have deadlines. A good strategy on how to plan is important. So we kind of work in a top-down approach. We set rocks as the executives. So we make sure that we get face-to-face to set these rocks, like big picture, massive goals for a quarter. Like let's just say this quarter, we are going to release this detection algorithm. We need to have this out. All right. So I bring that rock to my tech team, right? This tech team is not just going to have the artificial intelligence team, it's going to have electronics engineer, mechanical engineers, everybody. So we're like, okay, guys, we need to work on making sure the hardware is functioning to a particular standard so the software unit can start working on algorithms. So we kind of like the rocks are broken down into like pebbles at that level. And then that's the stage where at the rock level, we have like 3 months kind of plan. In pebble levels, we are like, well, like 2 sprint sessions, right? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks kind of a plan. And then I sit down with my members of the team. So we split into smaller subunits. And that is when we kind of plan like days and we set goals, we set deadlines and make sure that when one of our staff is challenged with a deadline, we figure out why and make sure that they have the time and the room that they need to be successful in their job. So it's about having this strategy and having timelines that everyone can see. So everyone top down from the CEO all the way to my developers can see every task and how it's being done. So there's no abstraction. It's not like the CEO's cut off from the progress in the work. Maintaining transparency has helped us significantly. Last but not the least, you kind of need to make the time to go see people face to face. That's the only way. Regular touch-ins with people, because no matter what, even though I work in AI technology, I still believe in human communication. So having that regularly spaced out helps make genuine connections.
That's great. I know you mentioned earlier, and I want to make sure we get to this before we let you go. Right. You mentioned about like, you kind of thought you wanted to go find the best job you could, sort of, more along the lines of like a 9 to 5, and then you ended up in this entrepreneurial journey. Throughout all of that, what career advice stands out to you as having been most applicable in what you're doing that you can maybe share with others that are tuning into this either live or recorded?
Right. I'm not a man for quotes, but I will try to tell you the essence of something that I heard. Life is short. It is. Opportunities don't knock on our doors all the time. When they do, grasp it with both hands and never let go. Right? It's like co-foundership opportunities don't come to you every day. When it does, take it. Like it was risky. I had to get my residency in Canada. There were many unknowns, and I couldn't lose my 9 to 5 job, and I was scared. There was way more to lose than to gain at that point. For my limited perspective then, it was a scary decision. Right now, in retrospect, I would be like, I should have always made the decision, but I didn't have the foresight. I couldn't see that we would win $1 million. Like, who knows, right? We didn't have funding for 6 months, and we were working off of like $2,000 in our bank accounts. Mm-hmm. So, like, night is darkest before dawn. That is the truth. Like, when it gets really tough, always have the attitude that it is going to change. That's the only way you can persevere. That's the only way you break through your boundaries. Blind optimism, indomitable will. That's my favorite phrase from Mahatma Gandhi. Indomitable will. Just like sheer force, sheer effort, and trust in your team. Like they have jumped into this crazy bandwagon called entrepreneurship with you. It's not just me, Bethany, and Nicholas. Everyone else who has quit their 9 to 5 safe, cushy jobs and jumped into a startup that is so risky. Like, hats off to them. Without them, what could we 3 do? It's a solid team backing you that gives you the courage. And it's just blind faith in a higher power and your own skills, I guess. At the end of the day, you're only as strong as the weakest link. So my team, my staff, everyone else who makes us successful, they're the reason.
Wow, that was awesome. I just need to splice that one clip right there and listen to that over and over because that was fantastic. All right, well, if anybody wants to follow up with you and learn more about AI, SomaDetect, just you in general, you said you gave me permission here to share your email address. Is that right?
Please, yes.
Okay, I've got it right here. up on the screen. Hopefully, does that look right? Hopefully I didn't misspell anything there.
I can't see it on the screen.
Oh, can you not see it? Okay, I think I got it right. I
Okay.
triple checked it there. But anyway, Bharath, thank you so much. Congratulations on being selected the 30 under 30. Well deserved. This has been a fantastic interview and one that I really related to on multiple levels. So thank you very much for the time and really appreciate you sharing with us.
Pleasure to be here.
All right. And for those of you tuning in, if you didn't catch all of the interview, you can do so either here on Facebook or on our YouTube channel or as a podcast, the AgGrad Live podcast. So make sure you're subscribed to both of those. And thank those of you who did tune in live. What a fantastic experience here with Bharath. So thank you very much, sir. No
problem. You have yourself a nice day, and thank you for everyone who joined in.
Thank you for joining AgGrad Live. Visit aggrad.com. That's AGGRAD. To join the community, create your profile, and learn more about careers in the agriculture industry.